What's going on, college football fans? It's your resident Michigan fan here at House Divided. Your boy Marcus here to break down this last game here versus Michigan State. You know, our yearly curb stomping of a little brother. So we'll break that down. We'll also talk about our up and coming matchup here. Yet another primetime matchup for Michigan versus Purdue. Don't know why they keep torturing us with that. But anyways, we'll talk about it all. Before we get started, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Trying to grow this thing out as fast as we can. Make sure you tune in to us on Saturday for the Big College Football Show at 11. Myself, Maze, Maniac, Johnny Old, and Josh. Make sure you tune into this channel right here and, sit back, get ready for some football on a Saturday morning. Other than that, let's go ahead and kick it off. So, Michigan ended up beating Michigan State 31-20. I believe the final score was they had a garbage time touchdown there to kind of drew it in a little bit closer. I felt like there was a really stellar performance by Michigan's defense. Very stellar, very stellar. A lot of the adjustments that Wink and the guys have made are showing. Number one, I feel like guys are taking a little bit more responsibility for their keys. And that's kind of where everything started for me, is everybody being responsible for their responsibility. Right? It's one thing to be getting beat and you in the position that you're supposed to be in. Right? I think that's easy enough to point to where the problem is at that point. It's a whole nother thing when guys aren't following any type of principles. They're just, they cowboying it, right? Like they're trying to be the next Sandra Steele, trying to be the next Aiden Hutchinson, trying to be the next, instead of just making the play. And, that has quieted down. The hero ball plays have quieted down over the last 2 weeks. And it showed tremendous dividends for Michigan. There was obviously times where the offense struggled in this game, had some miscues, and still we were able to hold them down and give our offense an opportunity to get things going and put some points on the board. So, a lot of good things there. Defensive ends played really well in this game, just like they did against Damon Williams, kind of keeping Aiden Childs in the pocket, making him have to play from there. The running game was mostly, I would say it was mostly null and void. If you take away the two explosive runs that they had, and I hate when people do that, but I mean, legitimately, it was tough sledding for those backs for the majority of their carries. I think they would even tell you that, outside of the two long runs that they had there. I think that the fact that they were able to really clamp down on Andrew Marsh for really all of the game outside of one series was really impressive. Jair Hill had that responsibility most of the time, and he handled it pretty well. The boy clearly plays defense for a reason, though. Like I don't know how many interceptions I don't watch the boy drop this season. Clearly a defensive back. Like we are never confusing Jair for a rejected wide receiver, or excuse me, for a wide receiver who was supposed to play wide receiver, I should say. Still a good game, even still. I think linebackers played tremendously well. Jimmy Rolder was a freak this game. Really good. Really good. I think he's really been one of the guys that needed to get back to just playing your keys. Be where you're supposed to be, and the plays that are supposed to be made will be made, right? Like you'll be in position to make a difference if you are where you're supposed to be most of the time from that position at that off. Well, he's not even offside line. He's not the weak side linebacker anymore. He's the guy. He's playing middle. He's got the star now. So, really good. Ernest Hausman looked good in his game. I didn't even realize Ernest Hausman is leading the team in tackles. So another good performance from him. I know they will obviously feel the effects of Cole Sullivan's loss while he's out, but I think Ty Bowles had a pretty good performance as well. Kind of spelling the other two guys in there. I wonder if, going forward, we started out first half of the season like, all right, well, clearly our best pass rushing option is Jayshon Barham, right? And so that was the reason for moving him to the edge. And the last couple of weeks, he's played better, right? I wonder with the injury back to Cole Sullivan, if he doesn't end up playing some more time on the inside, you know, just looking at it, because now TJ Guy has started to come on a little bit. Derek Moore is really asserting himself as probably the best edge rusher that we have at this point in the season. So just kind of just thinking, plugging holes with experience as opposed to young guys who are playing better than expected. It's kind of mulling it over, something to watch, see if it happens. Safety injuries continue to plague us. Rod was out. Hill was out. So we got a lot of Mangum. We got some Mason Curtis in this game. Obviously Metcalf at the nickel. But those guys held up pretty well. Again, I don't know what we were expecting too much in terms of a threat other than Kelly and Marsh on the outside. But even still, you play against the guys that you're lined up against. I think that they did what they were supposed to. They got pretty consistent pressure. Defensive backs played pretty well, and even the things that did come open weren't able to get to them because Childs was never really comfortable in the pocket. It would fluctuate from time to time. He would have a pocket, and then the very next play he wouldn't. You could tell he was feeling the rush, though. You could tell he was treating both of those situations exactly the same, because he's anticipating guys being there even when they weren't. So that's a positive for the defense. Turnover right out of the game, another one late in the game. So, excuse me, I think all in all, you can give the defense a passing grade on this one because they held up their end of the bargain. Over on the offensive side, it's kind of like get to the destination. Statistics be damned, style points be damned. Just kind of get to the finish line. I would like to see them capping off more drives with running the football. When we get into the red zone, it seemed like they had the plan pretty well mapped out. Let's get down here and then be able to utilize Bryce's legs on a +1 run to spring them. It's a pretty good formula. I feel like all of the RPOs now, and I'm getting ready to talk against myself because we just got done talking about how that's the best thing he does. But I wonder if we're adjusting now the amount of RPOs we're given if, we call 20 of them and 16 end up being handoffs. Well, now, for all the folks who are wringing their hands like, oh, throw the damn ball. It's Michigan State secondary ain't shit, throw the ball. Well, we wanted a freshman quarterback to start, right? Like these are the things that kind of come along with the maturation. We talked a little bit about this last week. I don't know why everybody was so gung-ho about getting a freshman quarterback in there if they didn't anticipate giving him some time to figure it all out. And that could be said about, some other personnel on the team, mainly the coachings, But we won't do that. It's okay. Guys know what the expectations are, and I think that they'll meet them going forward. It's just that, right now you got a guy who's still filling it out. You got a guy who, if you're going to ask him to go out and win the game for you, there's going to be some hills and valleys with that. There's going to be some times where he looks amazing, where he's able to layer in a ball in between the linebackers and the safety right to Semaj Morgan's ventricle. You know what I'm saying? Into his goddamn the little vein to come up here in your neck. And then there's going to be times where he's not testing that edge defender like I think he should. When he gets to the point where he feels that guy even take a slight step in and knows he can beat him today, because I know he can beat him. He's a better athlete than most guys playing edge in college football right now. So just common sense will tell you from what you've seen from him so far, some of those could have been pulled. They could. And I'm not one to think that they're handicapping him and saying, all right, automatically hand it off to Justice, automatically hand it off to Jordan. I don't think you play football like that. Not at this level. You can't. You kind of let the guy figure it out Especially if he's going to be a freshman starting at this level, you have to let him learn on the job. You can't piecemeal it to him. So he's got to get a better feel, and from all accounts, he's a film junkie, so he'll see it. He'll see the instances where he sees that guy react on his pull, and he's like, "Oh man, I could have took that. I could have took that. There's no way he would have been able to beat me to the edge there." And that is going to be more and more of a deadly weapon to Michigan the more he fills it out. But as long as we're calling RPOs, you're going to have that from time to time. You're going to have some times where it feels like you're very run heavy because that's what the quarterback is deciding to do, right? From a wide receiver standpoint, I think Andrew Marsh continues to excel. They've got to find some more ways to get Donaven McCulley involved. They had a couple plays called for him in this game. I would like to see more like a deliberate focus to push him the ball, though. I think he is a guy who could shoulder the load. And I think on 50-50 balls, he's proven at least this year that, that's favorable you. That's advantage you in those type of scenarios usually. So those slight things to look at. I think Bredesen and Jalen Hoffman played really well in this game. Both of them played good. No Hansen in this game and no Marshall. So I was a little bit surprised by that. Maybe it was one of those practice things. But the offense is going to come, man. The offense is going to come, especially when you still got Haynes and Marshall there in the backfield. Those two guys are going to be a threat to any defense in the country. So having those guys gives you a chance. The offensive line continues to get better. Blake Frazier looked pretty damn good in this game. I think that when you have a dominant part of your offense like that, you naturally have to have people adjust how they play. And so that's an advantage to the offense. When they have to game plan versus something specific, they know that they're going to have to really hunker in and take something away. You're dictating terms at that point. I like that about the consistency that Michigan has had in its offense here over the last 5 years or so. Is that they when things are shaky, when they're still figuring things out, when they're breaking in new pieces, when they have injuries, the one thing that they've always been able to lean on is tearing people's face off and driving the ball downfield. So good to see it. Good to see it for sure for Haynes and Marshall. Heard some stuff about about Haynes potentially having a broken foot. I don't know. I don't have no intel on it. He certainly didn't seem to be injured sitting there on the sidelines after the game. And guys get nicks and bruises all the time, even if it's not in game action. So it's certainly possible. I do believe in the depth in that room, though, to be able to shoulder the load. Marshall's already shown once this season that he'll be able to kind of put things on his back. And then it's encouraging that he's able to get that type of production even when Haynes is back, right? Like it's one thing to be able to do it when you're getting all the carries and you're the only guy, you're the alpha back. It's another thing to then slide back behind that guy and still be able to get yours. So I'm confident in that whatever times Haynes may miss, if he's missing any time at all, we'll be well covered in that department. Even with, a young guy like Jasper Parker, as long as he stopped running out of bounds, we'll be okay. We'll be all right. I think that's enough of Michigan State. I think they got their own issues on the table. Being last on everybody's coaching list got to be terrible. All right, moving on to Purdue, the Boilermakers. Once again, Michigan's going to be kicking off at 7:00. I don't know why they hate us, but that's what we're doing. I just like getting our games out of the way. I think we play much better at noon, and I think that it's much better for my anxiety to get us going and playing right after we get off of the recording, right after we get off the show. Like that's the best thing for me. But yeah, no, got them at 7:00 in Lafayette. I think that's what we got here? Passing leader. So we got Ryan Brown. So their leading passer, 1,600 yards, 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's been sacked 11 times. So, Offense kind of is what it is. We know Devin Ma could be a good back, right? He's got over 500 yards this season. You expect him to be a factor somewhat into the offense. But this isn't a game where I think Michigan should be playing with their food, right? We've come out against Washington. We right the ship defensively. We have a dominant performance on offense. We come out against the rival, and obviously that's a charged game. But you do what you need to do. You go out there, you embarrass them, you get off, you go home with a W. Now you want to start getting into prime position. You want to start getting into rare form. You want to start getting healthy, number one. Right. So all of our guys who've been kind of hanging around the injury tent, the Hansons of the world, the Haynes of the world, defense, Cole and Rod and Brandon, getting all those guys healthy. Also, fine-tuning some of the things that aren't working right now. So can we improve on drop back passing here in these next 3 weeks before Ohio State to a sizable degree to where now Ohio State has to add that to their menu of things they have to defend from us, right? Can we improve some of the reads on the RPOs for Bryce? Will that get, marginally better? Because you can't just expect a night and day difference here in the same season. But can you get marginally better at pulling when the defensive end is not giving you the respect that you deserve out there? Because I think anytime he has that ball in that position, that defensive end should be favoring the edge as opposed to trying to track down the run play from behind. But if they're not going to, if their nose is sniffing inside, you got to be able to snatch that thing out and get around the edge. You're an athlete. We're calling that play for a reason, right? Not to mention, you got a counter, right? You pull it too early. Oh shit! Don't like what I see. Hit the bubble. Hit the bubble. Can we improve on some of those things? Here's where I will address Semaj Morgan. I'm not and I guess this is coming from a little bit more of a like a coach perspective. I'm not a throw a guy in the trash can type of guy. Set him on the bench for the rest of the season while he's going through it. Because number one, I don't think Michigan is in a position offensively to be telling guys to go away. Right. I think we've seen some of the guys before Semaj got as much opportunity as he's getting right now, didn't necessarily go well. Fred very early on in the season before he left the team. Channing Goodwin was after him. He got a very long look, a lot of balls thrown his way. Semaj, same thing, getting a lot of balls thrown his way. Some positive, a lot of negative right now. And I do think the kid's in his head, and he's in one of those funks where if one thing could go wrong, it will. Everything is kind of going downhill for him right now. I think it should challenge you as a coach to figure out how to get him out of it. Right? It's so easy for you to be like, well, just fire him, kick him off the team, set him on the bench for the rest of the season. Well, and again, cool. More power to you if that's your opinion. But I'm also saying that if that's your opinion, you'll never make $1 million to be a position coach in major college football. Like ever. No one wants to hear that. No, you think anybody in that room, Ron Bellamy or the other wide receiver coach they brought in to assist, you think that they are going back to Sherrone Moore being like, yeah, man, we got to sit down. We got to set Semaj for the rest of the season, man. I can't do nothing with him. Can't help him. Can't do it. Because if that's the case, you might as well have me in that room. If you can't do nothing with him, then you might as well have me in that room. You recruited him. You started him. You played him through 8 games so far. And I'm gonna key people in on a little secret here. We'll keep this within the Michigan faithful. I don't think Michigan has another natural slot on the roster. Marion Walker's out for the season. CJ Charleston is out for the season. Those are our 3 slots. Those are our 3 Ys. Semaj Morgan, CJ Charleston, Amarion Walker, or excuse me, Amarion Stewart. Two of those guys are out for the season. So, yeah, no, sounds good. Throw them, give somebody else. Take one of the X or the Z's and make them play slot, because that's not complicated. Like you're asking, you gonna ask goddamn Peyton O'Leary or somebody like that to play out of position now. And now, hell yeah, maybe we can catch the ball. Can you get open from that position? Your slot receiver's got to be one of the twitchiest players on the field. Can you get open from that position? Are you even a threat to be thrown to now that you're not playing outside using your size or whatever else suits you to play X or Z? An option would be moving Marsh inside. I think he has the skill set and the hands. Move him inside. Try Channing or Kendrick back at X. It's a possibility. I would try that while also at the same time finding a way to get the kid out of his funk. That's why the coaches make all this money. That's your job. And so when a player is struggling at something, if your excuse is, oh, he just can't do it, then you're in the wrong job. You know, that's stuff for fans to say. That's stuff for us to say. Yeah, get him out of here until he goes score an 80-yard bomb, and then we like, okay, we love him again. That's what I'm expecting for Semaj. So I just wanted to, take the time out and bring that up. Never let it be forgotten that he is still outstanding Brandon Ennis. Anyways, what else would we want to see from Purdue? More defensive progression, right? I think more than we were in the first season. We're protecting the edges a little bit more. It's not just so easy to get outside of us. Still a little bit of trouble with gap fitting, but nothing like the USC game. So just continue to chip away, man. Get a little bit better. Get a little bit better. Because even before you get to Ohio State, even the Maryland game is going to be difficult, right? It's not going to necessarily be a cakewalk. And none of the games are, considering that you don't really know what you're going to get offensively from night to night. So the defense now at this point in the season has got to be lights out. We got to be lights out. We got to be healthy. And, the big plays they've got to halt, because you get into, one of these games deeper in the season where you actually are playing tight. Things are closer than they should be. Big plays are killers, man. Those are the difference in the game. And the thing is, you won't know which big play it is. It could be the long touchdown that you gave up in the fourth quarter. It could be the punt that gets blocked in the first quarter. That's why, discipline. Special teams. Okay. Hey, listen, man. Hey, listen. Now, again, not one for calling for nobody's job, but special teams has to be better. Special teams has caught a disease this year. From Zavada to who's our punter, Hallenbeck, to the return game or lack thereof. Like, something's got to give in the special teams game. And again, when you play that tight down the season, small things like that, big plays, special team plays, missed kicks, shanked punts, they flip the complexity of the game. You don't have that much margin for error. So really hoping that we can tidy that up. And yeah, man, I mean, all in all, I think it should be a win versus Purdue. How dominant is the win? How soon can we get Bryce on the bench? I thought we would get there this Saturday. We were pretty close, 31-7. Then they score another touchdown and kind of linger around for a little bit and, make it so he has to stay in the game. But I really loved for him to watch a fourth quarter one of these days if we could get that done. Other than that, man, I think that's going to do it. Give me your score predictions. Let me know how you think the Saturday is going to be, what you thought about the maiming of little brother this past Saturday. Again, like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back here on Saturday live at around 10:45-ish, usually when we kick it off. Big college football show at 11. Make sure you come back and tune in right here for that. And man, have a good week. We'll see you.